a healthy relationship.
Here we go.
All right, we're recording. I'm not leaning back today. No leaning back on the couch, guys.
No leaning back. No coffees on the tables. We're crushing this.
We're getting it half of the way through. We're finally getting it.
Exactly.
Let's go.
Thank you so much for joining us again. I am Sarah J, your host. This is the Relationship Experience, and we've got people, I would call you in the field, because you've got a lot of educational experience, and we are covering topics that everybody experiences. So we have been having the habit of asking a question to kind of break the ice. So if you are just joining us, Krista has compiled this list. What is our question for today, Krista?
Ooh, this one's a tough one because our subject today is kind of heavy. So
okay.
What is a myth that you believed about sex until you obviously got a little bit older? What was a myth that you were like, this is what sex is like? And then when you got in a relationship, you were like, yeah, no, that's not right.
Gosh, these are tough because when you're older, you think of different answers to the question. So when you're asking this, I'm looking for something around like my 12 to 19-year-old self.
Anything. So my
Okay.
husband was raised in a different culture, and so he believed until he was like 17 that hugging a girl could get her pregnant. Because his parents were like, don't touch women, you'll become a dad, and he was just like the rule follower. So he's like, I can't hug a girl, I don't want to be a dad.
Okay.
And it wasn't until he got a little older that he was like, okay, it's not that extreme. So, but he would tell me, he's like, I'd be in class and a girl would hug me, and I'd be like,
Oh my
like,
God.
what's gonna happen if she comes back and tells me? And so that was a myth that he thought was accurate, which obviously was so not accurate.
Yes.
Based on his lack of knowledge. So, do you guys have anything like that? Or maybe not, if not you, then someone else?
Well, me, I was kind of like Eric when I was younger. I'd say like about 9 years old. I thought like if I kissed a girl, I could get her pregnant. Like kissing a girl, yeah. Yeah, that was just for a little while, and after that, I realized.
Just for a little.
Fifth
He's
grade.
like by 10.
So I think it was like
by
fourth
10,
grade,
he's
and
good.
then by 10 we were in fifth grade. They were teaching all that anatomy stuff, and so.
Okay.
But before that, yeah.
I'm not sure. A myth that I think that the first kiss is probably like who you're gonna end up with. I think I just like in my head I was like, whoever it's gonna be, this is like once you've sealed it with a kiss, then it's gonna be forever, and that's absolutely not usually what happens at all.
Yeah.
No,
Not a
but
bad
like,
myth, but
we have this romanticized view, right? And we
Yeah.
have this, okay, if I kiss them, this is love.
yes.
Or this is fatherhood or pregnancy, and we're just not completely informed.
right.
And so we create this idea, and when you look back, it's funny because you're
yeah.
like, that's pretty funny. That
Yeah.
You're like, think about all the people you kissed. I mean, you had a lot of kids, Adrian. No, I'm just
I'm like, what? No,
no, he only has one.
yeah.
Well, from his wife. I'm just teasing.
Yeah,
But
and I think that idea that kissing a girl and getting her pregnant came from like soap opera, like my mom would watch. Because every time like it would show a scene of like them about to kiss, she'd change it. I'd be like, oh, they're gonna make a baby, and so that, you know, yeah.
Okay, that
And then
makes-
yeah, and then fifth grade came, and then I was
Close
like,
your
oh,
eyes,
okay.
cover your
yeah,
ears,
yeah,
all that
yeah.
stuff. You create
Yeah.
your own scenario.
Yeah.
Of what that means.
You know what that
man.
means? Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are all good ways to start this, because this topic that we're going to be talking about today is a little heavier than most of the topics, but a lot of relationships revolve around first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes a baby, but like how the baby's created is what we're going to be talking about today, and not just how the baby is created, but the sexual act and everything that is involved around that. So, and I did not introduce Adrian and Krista, actually have a course that they go around with Think Twice Yakima, and they will teach all of these different sessions. So if you're just joining us, you can go back into the catalog, and we've got a lot of different topics. But this is a good one to open up the conversation with whoever you would like to share this information with. And so if you were in a classroom setting, how would we kick this off? Because this is like, how do you start the conversation?
So Adrian hates talking about that.
Yeah, this is
I shouldn't say hates. It's just a different thing.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of the today is focused mainly on a female,
Okay.
but does apply to men. And so I like to go into, we're going to talk about the science.
Okay.
Like, this is not a romanticized version. We're just going to get into science and medical facts so that you can be informed.
Right. About pregnancy. Okay.
STDs.
Pregnancy,
And
STDs.
and STDs. Okay. So which one shall we cover first? Shall we dive into the STDs, or
Either one.
because both can come out of an interaction. So
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
guess it's the first thing to say.
Yeah, I think let's talk about STDs
Okay.
because last year we talked in the classroom about how syphilis was 200% up, and that's super important.
200%.
Just in Yakima
Yeah,
County.
just in Yakima. So
Okay.
let alone in our valley, and that in of itself is concerning because
Yeah.
STDs are rising, and I think it's important for students to know that when they are, this is a hookup culture, right?
Right.
We're living in a hookup culture. You see
Notches
it,
on your belt. That's an
Yeah.
old school way of saying it, but yeah, everybody's looking at their number, their Snapchat
Yeah.
score. We're talking about scores and body count like it's something that.
like you're leveling up, or like
Yeah.
it's a reward. But there are consequences, and the truth is that the consequences of not being in a long-term monogamous relationship can lead to like STDs, STIs in a hookup culture because it's the 200% syphilis up. That's not even 100, not even 150. That's
Yeah,
200%.
that's actually shocking to me. And
Yeah.
syphilis is one of those that is. We used to say when I was growing up, like, "Oh, it's the gift that keeps on giving," and that's not funny. And I know that we all have a little bit of dark humor when we talk about serious topics, but once you get something like syphilis, it doesn't go away, and maybe it might not show up.
Yeah.
And people can, like, you were just wearing your outfit looking fantastic, but you are carrying something that you could give to somebody else, and it's really dangerous. It's a weapon.
Well, we talk about the science behind it, that there are multiple types of STDs and what that means and how you get them, how you give them, how you cure them, which ones can be cured, which ones can't. And the fact that it is medically, you have to get medical professionals. So there's bacterial, there's a viral, there is parasitical, and just all those different levels. And we actually have the students like go on the CDC website and look up the facts. And it's amazing when they actually get the facts. They're like, ooh, I don't want that one.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, you don't want that one, because if you get that one, you might have to get a shot or antibiotics. So this one, is the gift that keeps on giving. It's never going to leave. And then the big question, which I love, I don't know why I love this, it's kind of weird, but I'm like, can you tell if someone has an STD or HIV? Can you tell? And the students are like, well, yeah. No, you can't, because HIV can live dormant in your body for a decade without you having any symptoms. And so just being informed is the biggest thing. Is a hookup worth the risk? And knowing how you want to treat your own body. And so that's the questions we really give the kids, is be informed so that when you are presented with a situation, you know where you stand and you might make a different choice.
Okay. So, I mean, I remember as I got older and I realized that what we're talking about with the extra stuff that comes with a sexual act or kissing or a hookup, anything like that. Asking a partner to say, before we do anything, let's go get tested. I want to see your test. I mean, I know that that's more a little bit older, but those are really important conversations to have. And that is another opener to like make sure that you are on the same page at the same place with the person that you're with. And if they're not okay with that, that's a big red flag. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So, what are possible risks, and I believe we've already kind of covered some of this, outside of a mutually monogamous lifetime relationship that you can carry on with you for the rest of your life?
Yeah. So I think because a lot of the students we talk to, they have the first lesson we talk about goal setting, right? So all of them have a career they want to have in mind, and one of the possible risks is getting pregnant, right? And what does that look like for both the male and the female? I know, I recently had a little one, and waking up 3 times in the middle of the night, changing diapers, getting the bag ready, making sure that daycare is available, then getting ready for work, and all that comes into it. And I can only imagine like school work. Then you have to get a job so you can pay for daycare. then you have to make sure that, like, it's just so much that goes into it, and that's a possible risk. Is it'll make it harder for you to reach some of your goals, right?
Definitely. Gosh, even having an animal, like they say, have an animal before you have a baby. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that they don't have a family, and they're feeling like that connection of like, if I had a little mini me, then I would have this person that would just love me unconditionally, and I would get that missing piece. And you have to be able to find that missing piece without adding an extra thing into it. And so I know there's a lot of fear. I was like that too, that you have a plan and you think at some point, I'll have a baby when I'm ready to have a baby. And having sex can lead to a baby. And just because you're having sex doesn't mean that you're going to have a supportive partner that is going to be there, especially if you're 15 years old, you're already in high school, and you are living at home. Yeah. It is going to look a lot different than a partner situation where you guys have a place that's your own, and you have built kind of how you, oh gosh, there's so much to it. And you feel invincible, and you're just like, hormones, and it's just so much fun. But we have to have these conversations. So thank you, both of you, for going out into the streets and making people aware of crazy statistics. 200 up. That's wild. Okay. Yeah.
So like I said, this course is about science and just knowledge, right? So
yes.
we talk about the different avenues. If you do find yourself pregnant, what are your options? And so we go into that, like there is raising the child, and then talking about everything that goes into that, and then you have adoption. You have the safe haven law, and then depending on what state you live in, you have abortion. Mm-hmm. And so what options are available for you, and to be informed.
Yes.
Our biggest thing at the end of the lesson is seek out information. We're giving you a synopsis, and we're not choosing and deciding on your behalf. We're just saying, this is the reality, and you have to decide for yourself, and then live with that choice. And it's really hard because people will try to argue, well, what about your opinion, or where do your values lie? Well, this isn't about what fits into my values as an educator. This is giving you the information.
Exactly.
And then deciding for yourself. And so for people who are listening going, ooh, those are some pretty heavy topics, you're not going to hear our opinions. You're just going to hear the science.
Okay.
And that's because we don't want to lead anyone into a choice that isn't theirs.
Yeah, you in a situation where you're feeling a little bit more vulnerable, you might listen to somebody who you feel has a lot more experience in life, and they're just giving you an opinion, and that opinion, it's theirs, and so it can't fit in your choices are gonna, even the mistakes that we make us amazing people. And so you have to go through some real tough situations where maybe, when you're little, you watch things and you have this idea of what your life is going to look like, and it is all of those decisions where, gosh, if I would have gone this way instead of that way, that's that moment where you level up in ways that are just amazing. So if you are in the situation where you're thinking, I have no idea what to do right now, take a deep breath, and we will have some links that we could provide you, so you can go into the body of this thing and you can find all of your different options for Washington State in Yakima County. And then I'm sure that there is a national site too that will bring you. So don't be afraid to ask any questions. And when you're asking a question to somebody, if you notice there's an adult who is not really vibing with what they're really trying to put a lot of their personal beliefs on you, it's okay to find a different safe adult to speak to. Yes? Do you guys?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I'm not.
100% agree.
Yeah, so we have a resource list that we provide for students of just different areas, different nonprofits or organizations in Yakima that they can go to if it comes to an STD or pregnancy or just safe, trusted adult, so that they can be informed. And we talk about how this impacts the female, but also how it impacts a male. Obviously the male isn't pregnant, but he is the father. So just because you can't carry a baby doesn't mean you opt out. You still are there, and it impacts you. And how do you go about that? How do you deal with, I got my girlfriend pregnant? And do you have a say? And where's that say? And those are all big things that impact. And we talk about contraceptive. And obviously the number one thing when it comes to contraceptive, if you want to guarantee no STD and no pregnancy, is don't have sex, right?
Correct.
That is the easiest way. 100%, you're not going to get pregnant, you're not going to get an STD if you're not having sex. But then what are the other options, and how will they impact you? How will they impact your partner? And we just, like I said, we just always want to make sure that the students are informed.
Asking questions. So I know we talked about this in the very beginning, but being that you go out in the classroom a lot, what are common myths about sex in this age group that you hear a lot of the time?
That's a great question.
I think the biggest one is everyone is having sex.
Yeah. Everyone thinks everyone's having sex.
Okay. They've
Hookup
already
culture.
had sex and
And again, the statistics and the facts prove otherwise, right? Over 60% of high school students have not had sex, and over 40% haven't even had sexual contact at all.
Are we okay to say how old were you when you became sexually active?
Oh wow, that's
I'm gonna opt out of that one.
And I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Only because I think it could be complicated for some people.
For
Like
sure.
why
I realize
why
as I say it out loud that the definition of sexual activity is different for everybody.
Yeah,
So, okay.
and so I know it's different for everyone, and there's reasons behind it, and
Right.
it may be lack of knowledge,
Fair.
or just different things that play into factors. But I think the important thing to take away is everyone is different.
Yes.
Yeah.
No one,
Yes.
there's not a set age where it's like, okay, I'm 16,
Yes.
I have to reach this mark.
Yes.
No, if you ask anyone, they're gonna have a different age,
Yes.
different situation, and different meaning behind
Yeah.
it.
And I would like to point out what just happened. I asked them a question that they sat on for a second, and then they realized where their boundaries were, and they set that boundary, and they did it in a very respectful way, and we moved out of it. We changed it. Look how that works
Yeah.
when you know
Yeah.
what your boundaries are.
Yeah.
I'm so proud.
And I'm not offended, and neither are you.
We're
We're
moving
great.
on.
Yeah.
Like, that's totally cool. And that's, being informed and having information makes you just more powerful in general. And then
Yeah.
you don't feel maybe like someone was trying to talk at you or
Absolutely.
being offended or giving an answer maybe. So
Yeah.
I love all this
It
stuff.
helps you make an educated decision, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If I can share, I heard this analogy about like your pool of influence. And I loved this analogy when it came to like sex. So you hear the thing of like everyone's having sex. Well, like I have 5 friends and they're all sexually active, and you're telling me only 48% of teenagers having sex. How does that work? Well, imagine a pool at a resort's on the beach, right?
Okay.
So you have the pool, but then you look outside the pool and there's the ocean. And if you're staying in the pool with your 20 buddies, obviously everyone's in the pool, but there's an entire ocean of people that may not be doing the same thing. And sometimes you have to separate yourself from the group you're in to be able to get a different perspective.
Beautiful.
And I loved
I love
that because I'm like, yeah, maybe you and your 5 friends are, but there's thousands of people that have a different opinion. And it's okay to listen to the voices that are out there and not just the ones next to you.
And we had talked about sexual regret, and that totally goes with if you're the only one in your friend group who hasn't experienced something and you're doing it because you feel like, gosh, I just want to get on board or I want to get over with. You do need to take a deep breath and stop for a second and start looking outside, looking out in the ocean, because there's plenty more fish to hang out with. And my dad used to always say, there's nothing good after midnight. Nothing good happens after midnight. But I had friends that, like, at midnight we were on the trampoline, looking up at the stars, talking about what we were going to do with our lives, and none of them were sexually active. And it was one of the most magical times of my life. But in my dad's eyes, debauchery. It was bad.
Can't be out that late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can't blame them.
Protect the fathers. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, I would love for you to give me an example of how exposure and transmission of STDs can multiply quickly. So we've talked about the ocean. I know when I was younger, we had a blanket. So one person would sit on the blanket, and then you'd pick a friend, and then they would come over, and then it would just start to get the more and more people on the blanket. What is the go-to these days when you're trying to explain how quickly these things can multiply?
I'll leave that to Krista because I feel like she has a better way of explaining
But
this.
it's so funny because I have 2 ideas in my head, and we talk about different things. It really comes down to the room that we're in and the students we're with, which
Fair.
the analogy, but I think COVID is an example that we all can relate to with how quickly things spread, and whether you agree or disagree with how things happen, that's not the question. The question is it is a virus that spread very rapidly, and the kids can understand that.
Okay.
Another thing that I think is really funny is glitter, which is like, glitter just stays. You ever have
Everywhere,
that where
yeah.
glitter at a birthday party, and we were traveling once, my husband and I, we had a birthday party in Kenya, and we got back to the States and opened the luggage and there was still glitter. We're like, how? This was like a month ago. How is it still here? And it spreads like that. You may not even notice it, but it can spread very, very quickly, because I think a lot of it is lack of information, lack of decision making, sliding in to a situation that leads to a different result that you were planning for. And because you can be asymptomatic, or it takes a delay in symptoms, you can have an STD and not know you have it, and then give it to someone else before you're aware. And then that person, once again, is not aware for maybe 2 or 3 days, and then if they have multiple partners, they've given it to someone else, and it just goes so fast. And that's why we see such a rapid increase, especially in our county, because people aren't thinking, well, I didn't see the symptoms, so therefore I'm okay.
Right.
And so it just spreads like glitter.
I love that. Yeah, she nailed it.
Right. I mean, you say the best way is to not kiss. I mean, what are other, Jeff, just not sliding into a situation, the moment that you're like, because this has been fun going through this whole thing, because I look back at how I acted and what my driving, like my reason for things, and I always was thinking, man, I just want to make out with this person, I just want to make out with that person, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel the same exact way, but why I wanted to make out with them, I just wanted connection. So if that's what you're looking for, making out with somebody is not going to give you that connection, but it might give you syphilis. Can you catch syphilis from making out?
I know that there are parasitic like STDs
Yeah, you can.
that you can get, like maybe even on your eyebrows.
Okay.
That you can. So yeah, you can catch.
You can catch syphilis from
something.
making out.
Yeah.
Any mucous membrane or body fluid can contract an STD. So, I mean, you have that in your eyes, in your ears, in your nose, in your mouth. It isn't as common,
Right.
but it's absolutely possible.
Right.
For it to spread in those areas. And I mean, it's just not, like I said, it's not as common. So
Right,
you're
we're
not
not-
going to make out with somebody and be like, I have chlamydia because I
Right.
kissed somebody. I mean, they would have to have a really contagious case that's untreated. And there would be, I would hope, physical signs at that point, and you would have to be in contact with more of an outbreak scenario. But it can happen. And that's why we just tell people to be, like, once again, be informed. Like, if you're like, I just want to have fun, and those people look great, and why not hook up with them? Well, then know your risk. If that's how you choose to live your life, then be prepared for the possible consequences, positive and negative, of a lifestyle. That's what we tell students. But there is a better choice. That's right. It's better choices, better future. There's a better choice for you, but you can make whatever choice you want.
You get to make the decision, and that's one of the beautiful things about life. You make the decision, you deal with those decisions, good and bad ones. So make smart ones. Don't slide into a situation and be like, I can't, what is going on? Well, yeah, we learn.
Absolutely.
And the biggest thing, and I think is the biggest thing of this entire lesson, is there's always hope.
Yeah.
You get an STD, maybe it was not by your choice. Maybe you made a decision and you have some sexual regret, or you find out you're pregnant, or you find out your girlfriend's pregnant and you're like, what now? There is always hope.
Yes.
So never lose hope, guys. You can find your way out of that situation. There are people that you can surround yourself with who will support you. There is hope. Don't give up.
This is just a moment. Not, whatever you're going through, these are just moments, and you're going to find your crew of people that just love and appreciate you. And so, yeah, definitely. Because some of these STDs, they stick with you for life. And that can be, you don't even really understand the impact as you're younger, but because again, you feel invincible. And you're not alone. And so those are really important things to know. And I'm sure we've got links for groups and things too that we can offer up. And I love that. Yeah, you'll find support whenever. Ask any questions too. Ask Adrian and Krista anything, anytime that you are curious about these things, because they are constantly being asked questions.
Absolutely.
And if they don't know the answer, they will find it or find somebody who can answer those questions.
Absolutely.
So we love you for that. Okay. Big question. What is the best way to say no in a pressured situation?
I'm going to give this to Adrian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think it's important for the students to know that, and not only students, but anyone who's listening, to know that there are ways to communicate no, right? So Body language is 55% of our communication. Eye contact, I believe, is like 30 something percent, and then words is 7%. So the best way to say no is to stand up and walk away. That's body contact. Body language is going to say everything, right? Like you can't.
You don't even say
you can
no.
say.
It's
You
even
can
more
say.
powerful. Ooh.
Yeah. You could say no and still be there, and something still may happen, right? Or you could say no wishy-washy. You could look at them and say no, and if you're attracted to them, it's even harder, right? To get away from that situation.
And they're gonna tease you, and I love that. You don't even. You just walk away. You can use that in any situation, anytime you're. Because if you were to sit down and say no, it is definitely you're still there, and it's almost like you're engaging them into a conversation, and there is no conversation. You've let them know you're removing. I'm not even interested, and they might not even ask you again because of how quick that was. Like, oh gosh, they have a line like that's.
I must have done something to offend them. Or,
they might flip their script. Ooh, that's
it.
powerful. I really like that.
So
Okay.
body language is going to tell them everything they have to know. When you use body language, eye contact, and words, it's super effective because now you're saying no, you're getting up, you're walking away, you're looking them in the eyes, and I think that's the most effective way to say no.
I love that. Being supportive, definitely being kind, and knowing when to walk out of a situation, not sliding into other ones. Man, anything else we want to leave them with? You're just throwing out all these juicy tidbits. I love it.
I think the biggest thing, guys, is be informed.
Yeah.
Don't hesitate to talk to your doctors, to your trusted adult, to look up information on credible medical websites, not just things on social media.
And maybe we can even add some of those suggestions to get them started. Because,
Absolutely.
Okay.
You can do that.
Know you're not alone,
Mm-hmm.
but be informed. That's the
Yes.
biggest thing so that you can make an informed choice that is best for you and your future. So.
Beautiful.
That's great.
Well, until next time, this is the Relationship